Hey guys, today I have a very interesting video because we are gonna learn how to create a Docker image from a Docker file. In this Docker file, we are gonna be using our own framework with all the dependencies inside, so we can, for example, just run and actually share our framework with other peers, right? If it is the case, or if we want to, well, use that in a CI environment, you also can do it, and we can ship easily the framework, right, for everyone if it is needed. So, well, it has its advantages and its disadvantages, right? But well, the idea is to, well, give you this tool, this knowledge, so you can use it if you need it. So as we remember in the last video about Cypress, well, we saw the definition, right? Since Docker actually runs containers, and it is a standard unit of software that packages app code and all its dependencies, so the application runs quickly and reliably from one computing environment to another. That's basically the idea of a container, right? The idea is to have a portable unit of software that we can share, and well, the system or the product itself is gonna behave in the same way if we share it with other ones, right? So yeah, we can have a standard container, right? It is gonna be lightweight and also is gonna be secure. That's right. So as I'm telling you, we have the ability to create an image using a Docker file, right? As you can see here, Docker can build images automatically by reading the instructions from a Docker file. Basically, a Docker file is a text document that contains all the commands a user could call on the command line to assemble an image. Using Docker build, users can create an automated build that executes several command line instructions in succession. So I'm gonna try to put this in practice, and I'm gonna explain you how you can do this with Cypress. As we saw in the last video, right, about Cypress, if you haven't seen that, we used this particular image, which is the Cypress included. In this environment, we already have the operating system, right? Of course, we also have the Cypress node modules installed, and also some browsers installed globally. We only had to just use our tests, use a volume to map them inside of the container and run them, because we already had the Cypress environment in there, right? However, if we take a look, we also have another two images over here. The first one is the base. The base one only has the operating system dependencies, and no Cypress and no browsers are installed, right? That's another option that we have. And also we have the Cypress browser image, right? That actually has the operating system dependencies and some browsers. To be specific, if I am not wrong, Firefox and Google Chrome, and of course Electron, if I am not wrong. Of course, we can install more devices actually browsers if it is needed, and in case we want to use the base one, we can also install the different browsers that we need. In this case, I'm gonna be using this one, the Cypress browsers. I'm gonna be using this one because we already have an operating system, right? And also we have the browsers itself. So I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna click on it, and I'm gonna look for the latest image that we have available. In this case, as you can see, is this one over here. So we're gonna start taking a look into the Docker file. I'm sorry. So as you can see here, every single step here is a kind of indication or an instruction to Docker to build a new image based on this set of instructions, right? So for example, here I'm using the word from, and as you can see, actually Visual Studio says that it is basically from or what is the main image that we are going to be using, or in this case I'm going to be using the Cypress browsers image, right? But if you want to, you also can, well, build your image using just, for example, Alpine or other operating system, right? In this case, I'm gonna be using Cypress browser as the base image here, and then I'm gonna be building my project there. Actually, I'm gonna be copying the main folders inside of that particular image, and well, I'm gonna try to explain you step by step. Stay with me, all right? Bear with me, because it's actually easy. As you can see here in the from, well, as I'm telling you, I'm just using the image that we have here, the last version, right? So I just have to copy and paste that here. Then the next step actually is, I'm sorry, I'm just doing something here wrong. There it is. The next step is, well, I run a command, right? In this case, I'm performing the mkdir command, which in Linux, and actually I think that in Windows too, create a folder, right? In this case, I'm creating a folder inside of that container, which is gonna be my Cypress project. That's the name that I want to use. You can, well, name this as you want, right? Then we have the work directory. Basically, this instruction help us to let the container, or actually the image, to know that this is gonna be the work directory that I want to use as a main directory, right? All right, that's amazing. Then well, the next command that I have here is copy. And now what I'm gonna be doing here is copying the package.json file that we have in our project. In this case is this one. This package.json, you know that they have all the dependencies that we need. In this case, I have, for example, Cypress grep, and we have the Cypress Mocha Awesome reporter. So, well, what I'm doing is just copying the package.json to the work directory that is reflected with this dot over here. Okay. Then the next step, well, is actually copying the Cypress folder that we have here, which contains all the, well, the different stuff that we need, right? For example, the fixtures. It has actually the scripts in the integration folder, right, over here. Well, it has everything, right? The plugins, the support. It also have the videos folder, and so on, right? That's another thing that we need. And at the end, I'm sorry, I was talking about this, but I am also including the Cypress JSON file that we have in the root directory over here, because we here actually also send some parameters, some important parameters, right? For example, the screenshot on failure, if you're using a reporter over here, and well, a lot of stuff that you know that you can include here in the Cypress.json file, right? So that's another thing that we are gonna be sending to the image itself, right? Well, the next step that I do is actually install the Cypress dependencies inside of the container, actually, right, in the image, actually, right? With this command, what is gonna be happening is actually that it's gonna be downloading the node modules folder, so our framework can work as expected, right? And if you think about this, the npm install is gonna be downloading the dependencies that we have in the JSON file, because, well, we have copied that in the work directory over here, right? So we're constructing our image based on our needs, right? That's the right word, if I'm not wrong. That's good. Well, the next step that I have to do is set the entry point and the CMD over here. Those are well, commands that have a lot of functions. Actually, I highly recommend you to take a look about the difference between them, or if you want me to make a video about it, I can try to do it. But in this case, I'm gonna be using this combination over here, and as you can see, what I'm gonna be doing is using the entry point, because we're gonna specify the commands that the container will be using in this case, right? The thing that I want to do here is a Cypress run, because if you take a look of the package.json, and actually if you remember how to execute a local well suite, you know that we have to use the npx and then the Cypress run over here, right, to, well, execute any kind of script here in Cypress. So I'm just well, using the exec form to set those parameters over here, and then with the cmd command we are specifying well, a blank space, right, where we can send the parameters that we want, right? So for example, we can send the spec file that I want to execute. We also can specify if you want to execute this in headless mode or not, the browser, and all the things that you need. Also, if you want to send the results to the Cypress dashboard or any other dashboard that you have, well, a lot of stuff that you can be sending by this particular cmd well, kind of command, right? That's the idea of this one, and that's the idea of the combination of them in this particular case. Okay, now since you have already constructed your Docker file over here, the next step that I want to do is actually opening, well, my particular folder. And since I'm using Windows, I want to use the cmd, right, the command prompt window. And I think that the first step that you have to do in order to build your image from that particular Docker file, well, as you can see here, if I make a dir command here, you know that I have a Docker file here, and that particular Docker file has all the instructions, right? So in order to build an image from that Docker file, well, the command is docker build, right? And then you have to specify or tag your image with a container name, and then the version. I'm not sure, I don't remember right now the correct term, but let me just do this in practical terms, right? I'm gonna name this, for example, my Cypress image, right? And then you have to specify the tag version. I don't remember that. It is not good. Let me just take a look of the Cypress Docker documentation, because there is the correct term, right? Just let me take a look of that. All right, that's the word. Yeah, the tag. Yeah, I think that's the correct word. I'm sorry, but okay. Let's go ahead and continue with the video, right? I'm sorry. Well, you have to specify also the version, because sometimes you're gonna have different versions of the same image, right? So you can specify, for example, a version. Right now I have one, which is the 1.0.0, and in this case, well, to avoid losing time, I'm gonna be constructing one image just to show you how to do this. But I already have one, and I'm gonna be working with that. As you know, I have an error here, which is saying we need a Docker file over here, and it is not recognizing already that we have one in the folder. So we have to specify that with a dot, right? And as you can see right now, well, it is gonna be starting building the image, right? Well, in this case, since I already have all the stuff, I think that it has already completed the building of the image. So if I perform a docker images command, well, as you can see here, I already have 2 images. Well, I didn't know that I already had this one, but that's how you can, well, create an image from a Docker file, right? That's pretty good. Now that I have this, well, I am available to run my tests already contained in this image. So the way to do this is pretty easy, right? The first command that we have to use is docker run, right? And in this case, I want to run this in interactive mode, so I can check the logs in warm mode, right? I'm gonna have immediate results in the console, so I can check that. And then, well, if you are following this series of videos, I have integrated the mock awesome reporter, right, in this particular framework. So I want to have the reports that are created inside in that container here in my local computer. So in that particular case, I have to set or actually, yeah, configure a volume so I can persist the data and have this in my local computer, even it is generated in the in the container itself, right? So as you remember in the last video, it's pretty easy. We just have to specify the current folder, which in Windows, this is the syntax that we have to use. If you are using Linux, probably you have to use pwd, but in this case I'm using Windows. So you have to specify at the first parameter the local computer, right, your current folder, and then you have to specify, well, the work directory inside of the container. And if you remember in the Docker file, well, I have defined that particular work directory as my Cypress project over here. So I'm gonna just copy that data, or actually this information, and I'm gonna be using that as a volume. That's good. Well, the next step that I have to do is actually use, or actually look for my particular image, right? I'm not sure if I have to use the T. That's a question. I think that I shouldn't use that, but I'm gonna be using it. I think that it will work. And then I have to specify the name of the image that I want to execute. In this case, I want to execute my Cypress image over here. So, well, it is not recognizing, so I'm gonna be writing this, my Cypress image. And also we have to specify the tag. Yeah, so I'm gonna be using the image with this particular tag. Basically both are the same, but it was the second one was just for to show you how it works, right? Now that I have specified my image, right, well, I'm gonna be also specifying the spec, the script that I want to execute, right? So if I come here inside of my project, I'm gonna be executing my page object model scripts that I have inside of this folder, right? As you can see here, the first script is gonna be skipped, right? As you can see, I'm gonna be skipping all these scripts that I have inside of the describe, and the another one is gonna be, well, available, so I'm gonna be executing this one. And the report should be generated automatically here under Cypress. Right now I don't have a report folder, as you can see. Since I'm configuring the volume, it is gonna be reflected inside of my folder. I hope so. Well, so I'm gonna be specifying that I want to only execute the specs under Cypress integration page object model, or PON, and I'm gonna be executing all the JS files that I have under POM over here, right? So I'm gonna be using the syntax that we already know, right? The asterisk.js. That's good. And then I think that I'm ready. I'm gonna be executing this. Hopefully it works. Let me check if I'm recording, because if I am not, I'm gonna cry. And there it is. Let's see if it works or not. I hope that it works. Well, it is taking a long time. Well, there it is. It is actually saying that it is verified Cypress. That's good. That's a good start. Well, it is taking its time. It is okay. We have all the night in this moment. Let's see. I don't know why it is taking so long. But I think it's fine. Let's see. There is an important thing that I want to mention. And as you can see, this image is heavy, right? It has, or actually it takes to that 49 gigabytes in the computer. So it might be a good idea to refactor the image, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you want, and if you don't want to have that heavy image under your in your computer, you can refactor this, right? You can use an Alpine image or some other lightweight image that we have in the Artifactory. And also we're gonna have to install the browsers and stuff, but I think it is gonna be less heavy, right? Yeah. So now we have the results. The CMD kind of freezes, but now we have the results. Let's take a look of this. If you check, well, this is an execution that is happening inside of the container, right? So well, the first step that it does is actually remove the folder Cypress report. It is a part of the Mocha Awesome integration. And then, well, as I told you, it actually found this spec. But as you can see, it is skipped. So they are not executed at all. And that's why we have 4 pending tests over here, and they are not passed or failed. And well, the next step that we have here is actually execution of the another spec over here, right? And as you can see, all of them passed correctly. And at the end, well, it is actually saying that it is reading and merging the JSONs. It is part of the Mocha Awesome reports. It is actually creating the HTML report, and at the end, it is saved under the My Cypress project, which is the work directory that we specified in the Docker file over here, right? That's good. And then it is also well, placing our results under Cypress report and the index.html. And well, the execution well, is done. If we check about the Docker PS, we see that there is no container running, so it is already destroyed. And if I check Docker PS-A, we can see that, well, this is the image that was executed 3 minutes ago. And well, this is the command that I executed inside. As I told you, it is npx cypress run, and I also am specifying the different parameters that I want using the CMD over here, right? And that's how it works. Well, once this is done, I want to check if inside of my folder, my local folder, there is the report. And as you can see, here it is, since I'm also using the volume. And if I check the index over here, well, as you can see, I have a report with 2 different suites executed. One of them is skipped right over here, and the other one have the results that I want to see. And that's basically what I have to show you right now. It's pretty awesome. I think we can do a lot of stuff with Docker, and this is one of them, one of the things that we can do. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe, let a like. I think that this video is amazing. It is something that you have to know, you have to practice, because it is the future, right? Containers have a lot of potential. Thank you very much for watching this video. This was JoanMedia, and see you in the next one. Thank you very much, and bye bye.